Good evening, everyone. And good morning to our folks on Zoom. I want to start by thanking everyone for their patience, especially our online guests. We have quite a few participants who are battling through some particularly nasty traffic out here in Riyadh. So thank you so much for joining us. My name is Amelia Pierce. I'm the Deputy Director for Operations and Finance for the Atlantic Council's Middle East programs. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to our event today. I want to start by thanking our incredible partners from AmCham Saudi Arabia. We have Margarita here with us. We have Evangelia, and I want to thank Esra and Janetta as well for their incredible support. We also have our partners here from PepsiCo, Dina Dabous, and I want to thank Rona Halabi as well, for her support, as well as our friends at the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia, Davida McDonald, Naima Hadid, and Karina Klein. Without these wonderful partners, none of this would be possible. So thank you so much. We're here tonight to celebrate. For the third year in a row, the Atlantic Council's WIN Fellowship is bringing together a group of trailblazing women entrepreneurs from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on a year-long journey to accelerate their business skills and expand their regional and international networks. This year, we are proud to announce that 20 inspiring business leaders have been selected to form our 2024 Saudi cohort. These fellows represent diverse sectors ranging from technology and climate sustainability to healthcare. As many of you know, Saudi Arabia has undergone remarkable economic and social transformation in recent years. Women have been at the forefront of this transformation. In only the past 6 years, the percentage of women-led businesses has more than doubled, from 21 to 45%. Between 2021 and 2022, Saudi Arabia saw the world's greatest increase in women-led small to medium enterprises. And the World Economic Forum has recognized Saudi Arabia as among the top 5 most improved countries globally when it comes to closing the gender gap in business ownership. In the most recent Women, Business, and Law report, which was published by the World Bank in 2024, Saudi Arabia received an impressive score of 100 in the category of legal pathways for women to open small and medium enterprises. We extend our sincere congratulations for this progress to both the women and men in this room and to the kingdom. This trajectory of women's entrepreneurship has been phenomenal. And there are certainly still hurdles to overcome. Women still face barriers to accessing finance, investment, and business networks, and many still lack effective social support and mentorship networks. Female founders still receive only a fraction of the funding that male business owners receive. In 2023, female entrepreneurs received a total of $19 million in investment for small and medium enterprises, representing only 0.47% of the total funding raised for new businesses in Saudi Arabia. In the next hour, you will hear from an incredible lineup of speakers who bring a diverse array of experiences and perspectives. They are leaders, change makers, and fierce advocates for women's entrepreneurial success. Through our discussion, we hope to explore the state of women's entrepreneurship in Saudi Arabia today, as well as identify potential solutions that will help Saudi Arabia continue on its trailblazing journey toward an equitable business ecosystem for future generations of female entrepreneurs. Thank you so much to our panelists and our wonderful moderator for lending your voices and perspectives to this event today. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this evening again. Seeing you all here today, we are incredibly hopeful for the future of women in business here in Saudi Arabia. With that, let's get started. I am now honored to introduce our first speaker, the Ambassador of the United States to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency the Honorable Michael Ratney. Ambassador Ratney has served across the Middle East, including posts in Syria, Jerusalem, Doha, Baghdad, Beirut, and Casablanca. He's managed a network of State Department media hubs throughout the world and acted as spokesman for the State Department's Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs. He was sworn in as U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia in March of 2023 and now leads a team of over 1,000 across offices in Jeddah, Dhahran, and here in Riyadh. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Ratney.
Good evening. I'm Michael Ratney, the U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's a real delight to be able to support the new WHIN cohort and congratulate this year's fellows. Believe me, if I wasn't traveling this week, I'd be there in person to have the privilege of meeting all of you. I want to first recognize our partner, the Atlantic Council, for their leadership in implementing the WHIN Fellowship. And I want to thank Wael Ismail and his team at PepsiCo for their unwavering financial support for this program. I want to thank the many mentors who volunteer their time to coach the participants. And of course, I want to thank our partners at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business who offer valuable business training. Without all of you, the WHIN Fellowship would not exist. But I especially want to take this opportunity to speak directly to our new cohort of WHIN Fellows, joining us from across the kingdom. As I was reading your bios, I was really impressed. You come from Riyadh and Jeddah, Mecca, El Khobar, and Al Baha, and you work in education, fintech, healthcare, retail, and hospitality. You truly represent the new Saudi Arabia, and that new Saudi Arabia is sometimes hard to convey to outsiders. You encapsulate entrepreneurial and educational changes that have opened doors for a new generation, and you demonstrate the truly extraordinary new opportunities for Saudi women who can become race car drivers, astronauts, and yes, entrepreneurs. You have my deepest admiration. Now, lest you think the U.S. Embassy only shows up at these nice launch events, I want to stress that we want to forge a sustained, long-lasting relationship with each of you. My team will share opportunities to attend embassy speaking engagements, alumni conferences, workshops, and other events. Indeed, at this very moment, there's a MENA Regional Summit just for WHIN alumni taking place in the UAE, and 3 Saudi WHIN alumni are attending. So please do take advantage of the many mentorship and networking opportunities the WHIN Fellowship offers. They'll pay dividends long after the year-long official program ends. So congratulations to all our WHIN Fellows for investing in your businesses and investing in yourselves. We look forward to staying in touch and celebrating your successes throughout this fellowship year and beyond. Thank you for your efforts and congratulations on your successes. I look forward to meeting all of you in person very soon.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight, and what a wonderful speech given by His Excellency Ambassador Michael Ratney. I'm very excited, actually, to be sitting here amongst trailblazer ladies who have really marked their world in entrepreneurship. And I think it's going to be a fantastic session where we will learn, enjoy, and hear many stories, hopefully, in the future. Let me first begin by introducing Afnan Ababtlan, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Director, Sector Investment Development at the Ministry of Investment in Saudi Arabia, and also Amal Duhan, a managing partner at 500 Global, and lastly, Wafa Al-Ubaidat, CEO and founder of Playbook. Welcome, ladies. Thank you for being here. We have so much to talk about. I don't know if 1 hour is going to be enough, but we'll make it work. I want to start off with you, Afnan. As the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, can you speak to the role of women entrepreneurs in the kingdom and how is it helping advancing the economy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? And what are your views of women fitting in Vision 2030? Thank you.
Hi everyone, and thank you for the introduction and for all your support you are doing to show case of the progress we have today in Saudi Arabia and how we in Saudi Arabia committed in supporting women within our leadership and also with our main stakeholder from government, private sector, and non-profit organization. And when you are asking me about our vision of view about women entrepreneurship, we are talking about a lot of changes and a lot of changes happening when we are talking since of 2016 till today. But what I want to talk about since 2005 till today, I witnesses a lot of changes happening when we are talking about women empowerment. When we go back, when we want to talk about supporting women economically, we have a very little entities that support women to set their business or scale their own business or to have the right fund to support women. When we have our vision 2030, how it's ambition to support women entrepreneurs and how to deal with women as a main component of the change, and also encouraging women to help in diversifying the kind of businesses today we have it, we talk about women contribution in the economy. We are talking about the changes on our policies that reflected in women participation in the economy. Also, this reflected in the kind of collaboration we have it, whether within the government entities or with the world to support women entrepreneurs. As we all know that we have a main target to increase women participation in the workforce, and we exceed this KPI. But when we are talking about women contributing in small and medium enterprises, we have a special monitor that monitor the progress of women since 2016, since Munsha'at started her operation to increase the participation of SME in the GDP. So we can see that when Munsha'at started, the women contribution only 21% out of the total SME. When we are talking about today, we have more than 45 women participating and owning businesses. And all these things are all these numbers and changes. And as you mentioned, also we changed our position in different monitors from all over the world, like Women and Business and Law. All these changes because of the change we have in our narrative and our mindset, the kind of incentives today we have it, and the kind of commitment other government have it when they want to support women entrepreneurs. So if I will talk a lot, so maybe I will take a long time, maybe if I take the chance for my colleague, but there is also, if you allow me to add one sentence, that when we work, for example, to develop the national strategy for women entrepreneurs, since I lead this department when I worked in Munsha'at, we focus on two main things: how to include women within existing initiative, within other government entity in our Vision 2030, not only in Munsha'at. Second, how we create a special track for women to support her, to set her own business and to scale her own business within also other government entity, especially when we are talking about empowering women in health sector, in beauty sector, and for example, in education, etc. So we apply this methodology when we want to include women within the existing strategy, even our SME strategy not announced yet. We have our own strategy to support women entrepreneurs. And alhamdulillah, we have these numbers, and we have a great women in Saudi Arabia who support other women or also start their own and support, after they set their own business, they support other women. But all these things are a reflection of how the community are working and collaborating.
Thank you so much, Afnan. Seeing women supporting women really is crucial in the entrepreneurship environment and in every single sector. And the fact that you really touched on how the numbers have skyrocketed since Vision 2030 really does show how important this vision is to our everyday life and also to our entrepreneurship. Amal, very fascinating talk we had before the session. And I do want to say that Amal is a managing partner at 500 Global. You are a leader in the venture capital space in Saudi Arabia, and you've had many years working in 500 Global. How have you seen investment strategy toward female entrepreneurs evolve? And how would you describe 500 Global's approach to investing in women founders? You shared with me a little story that I want you to tell.
I have
our
my
audience.
story next to me.
Yes.
But probably it's worth saying, just to follow up on what Afnan said, I'm from a generation that, I finished my college in 1999. And I would say I started as a teacher. And my way to change was to educate the upcoming generation, right? How do I really make that change in a classroom with little young kids? What do I want to model? What opportunities I wanted to show? That was my space, and it was my room, and it was my ground. Opening opportunities in some of the schools I remember, we used to bring companies back in 2004 and 5 to come in the classroom and talk to little kids in kindergarten and tell them this is where they are. One day you will make your own story. And then the kids come next day with their own stories. And I think what we're living in Saudi Arabia is exactly that today. We were all inspired, whether we started work 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Today, we're enabled. We have the tools, we have the paths, we have the possibilities. Nothing is missing. And when young girls come to me today or young entrepreneurs, I go like, you know what? When I used to research something, I used to read books and books and books and sit in library. Today, you have access to information. If I want money, I'm not going to have a place to go and ask for. And today, you can knock many doors of grants and possibilities that the government is providing. And then there's the possibilities of venture. And not only in Saudi, we're actually bringing the globe. So 500 Global today have started investing in this region in 2011. Set up in Saudi in 2020. We have the office in Riyadh. Our headquarters is here. And we're actually determined and committed to Middle East and North Africa. And today, as being here and being a woman, I do have a responsibility of being out there, of speaking and telling the story of everything that we're doing today, of all the other women that are telling also their stories, to promote. So I do believe in modeling. I do believe in the power of changing the investment scheme, encouraging more women to become investors. If we want to remove the biases, if we want to remove all the understandings of businesses that may excite some or not the others, we need to add more women to the scene with different backgrounds, right? If I come from education, I will have a passion towards that and towards development. If somebody else comes from private equity, they will have a passion towards that, right? And build on this. It's not just about men and women, it's about those diversities. And I think 500 attracted me with this. The power and the belief of diversity because of their existence globally. And when we came to the region, we tried our best that every batch we invest in, at least third of it will be women, right? At least, and we would go out there and try to meet that target, and find them because not all of them do come forward. So I always say in public, appearances, please come forward. It may not be your chance today. It could be the next month or it could be next year, but come and talk to us. See what we're looking for. Remove the fears and the barriers. There's nothing wrong with rejection. We've been all rejected in different formats, and we're still alive sitting here on that stage telling that story. And you will be also telling your story one day. So maybe that's one of the things that I always say. The investment scene in Saudi have shifted massively in general. And I think when it comes to women, now we see a lot of women that already existed before, but now they're coming forward, and they're bringing the story. In my mind now, I have Wafa, who's going to tell her story. And I have Dalal from Kuwait, who's also in financial technology. I have Latifa, who started gathering before Airbnb is a thing, in Saudi Arabia. And I have all these amazing women in my mind that inspire what we do. So remember, others have done it. You can do it. The investments are there. Saudi have backed many funds. Saudi Venture Capital is a sovereign fund. JADA is a sovereign fund. Others, family offices today, are actually investing in venture capital funds because they are excited about technology and about venture. So even the ones that were doubtful, COVID shifted that. But today, many are interested in tech. Are we there yet? We are on the way. And I think realizing that we are on a path of growth, it will come with its own glitches, but you have the examples of the women that fundraised, right? So I think all what it takes is maybe talking about the traits, remembering and modeling these women. They're all fierce, focused on the businesses. They know their numbers. They know how to network. They know how not to take rejection, and they fight and fight. When she came and spoke to me the first time, applying, in the first meeting, I told her, we're doing the investment. I'm going to talk to the team. We're going to get back to you in how many days? We got back to you. 48 hours, and we made the investment. And I think the reason I would highlight, Wafa a lot is Wafa actually educates women on financial literacy, investments, and it's about opening all these doors that probably I did not have a long time ago. So I would tell you, yes, change is happening. It is there. I think regulations have moved a lot. Money and dry powder is available in the market. Knowledge is out there. And I think female entrepreneurs are coming forward and doing that modeling there. So we're ready to fly, I guess.
Thank you so much, Amal. Yeah, that was quite inspiring, actually. And you really touched on so many points that I think not only are for females, but also for males. Don't fear failure. Everyone's afraid to fail. Everyone's afraid to have that, little mistake that will hinge them for not going forward. But be brave, go forward and invest in whatever it is you do. Thank you so much. I want to move on to Wafa. Yani Amal has done such a wonderful job
She makes my life so easy.
Yes. of introducing you, but let me ask you about Playbook and how you founded it. Where do you think it's going, and what do you think is the potential of it? And tell me more about it.
Sure. So basically, I want to say that Emil is one of my favorite investors because of the 48 hours. Yes, it took her. She says you're the fastest yes we got, so I rub it in everyone's face. But yeah, 500 is an incredible partner to Playbook. It was our first VC that supported us, and it opened so many doors. The story of Playbook is really simple. It actually ties into your earlier question about female entrepreneurship, which is a lot of the business networks I joined were, women business societies, and usually there would be a lot of social activities, but not really a place to do business. And I was getting really frustrated because where do we go to do our business deals? Where do we go to get deal flow or ask for investment or to scale both personally and professionally? And I got really frustrated. When you look at the data, you realize that girls do really well in school. We actually get better grades because we're incredible. But then when we graduate, you see a big drop off in the numbers, with less than 2% of VC funding going to women, with less than 10% making it to C-level, less than 12% making it to board positions. So why do we overperform in academia, where we understand the playbook? Like, teach me the game. What rules are we playing, and I can win? But when we cross over to work, it's like, why did school and university not prepare me for all these hidden rules that I have to learn very painfully and slowly at the workplace? And I think Playbook started because we started asking conversations. We started having conversations with women on what their playbook is to becoming chief, or getting boardroom ready, or fundraising. And especially in our culture, or in cultures around the world that have similar challenges, both in Latin America, in India, in the Middle East, you find that women are going through the same challenges. So what we wanted to do is get women who looked like us, so to role model positivity, like, let's normalize women in leadership, so it's not weird when there's like a chief. It's like, it's so normal, everybody else is a chief, you know what I mean? And then we started off as masterclass. So we had women developing these incredible masterclasses where they teach you hacks on money, investment, and scaling, both personally and professionally. And we started selling subscriptions. And actually in 500, in our first 3 months, we made about $20,000 before we even launched a single product, before we launched a website, just early subscription. And then we built this community of incredible women on our platform. So far, Playbook has over 6,000 members, 15% are C-level, 10% are female founders. We have 15,000 minutes of content, and we've raised over $1.5 million in pre-seed and seed funding. Now, what's really exciting is because we learned the playbook on how to fundraise as well, our members started saying, how do we invest? So we took one ticket size and we invited our own members to invest in Playbook, and 32 of our own customers turned into investors. So me and Emil always have these discussions about how can we be innovative in fundraising, and women have to do things very differently than men. So my husband pitches to 10 investors a month, maybe, and he's really incredible. He's not here, but he is really incredible. Like, I'm not scared or anything, but basically, but he is amazing. And but where does he do deals? Cigar rooms, golf, the gym, traveling with his friends, and he'll come back and shake hands and it's a done deal. Where do I go to fundraise, right? Where do women go to close that deal? So I think we have to do more cold calling. We have to do more LinkedIn messages. We have to, maybe I pitch and I'm maybe 60 times a month. We close the same amount. So he gets to raise and build. I get to raise forever. right? Unless you obviously have the hockey stick and that comes naturally and easily to you. So Playbook then started to do more on the investment side. We recently acquired an angel investment network called Women Spark, which is so exciting, back in May, which gives us a stronger foothold on the ecosystem and becoming more of an ecosystem enabler. And our own investors, like let's say 50 plus of them, we've converted them into members of Women Spark. So we're getting them to now invest more into potential deal flow. So I think the point of Playbook is how do we provide women, and you said this so beautifully about giving them the tools to scale, to fundraise, to give them the experts and coaches all in one space.
That is so fantastic, by the way. I wish we had this 20 years ago when we were just starting our jobs, but it's good to see that this new generation really has the tools to go forward. So there's nothing stopping them other than them actually trying. Thank you so much, Wafa. I want to jump to you, Afnan. So, mashallah, knocking on wood, 18 years experience. Tell me, how did that happen? And how are you empowering women, entrepreneurs in Saudi Arabia for 18 years? I want to know the before and the after. So it's completely different. I'm pretty sure in that scale. Yani 18 years ago, we did not have Vision 2030. We had unlimited talent, but very limited opportunities. How did that shift? And can you tell us a little bit about it?
First of all, I'm a woman. This is one thing. So, of course, that I struggle. So I don't want, of course, I don't, but what I mean that I feel what other women feel when she knock a lot of door in my city, and she's trying to find an opportunity. I'm high educated. I want to have the right place to work, healthy place, and also met with other women who are talented. So, and share thoughts. So I didn't find place, but alhamdulillah, I'm from the Eastern Province, and we have the culture of social responsibility and a lot of leaders in our region, in our region in Eastern Province, that support creating different cluster for Toastmaster, or for example, reading club, or even NGOs that support women in different aspects. So I'm privileged to have this opportunity to work in one of the non-profit organization to support women or to empower women to set her own business. From that, before helping women to open her own business, we worked in doing different research about women contribution in the economy. What kind of contribution we want women to contribute in, what kind of opportunities we have, what kind of leaders we want to create. So I started from there, and I keep learning and met with a lot of leaders who are bigger than me, and become more shy that I'm young, I need to do something. They quit that. They worked, for example, in Saudi Aramco for more than 8 hours, 9 hours, sometimes 10 hours in a day. Then they come back to this NGO to contribute in supporting other women, to help other women to start her own business, for example, in manufacturing or in health sector. So they contribute in supporting women. So from that, I keep realizing that a lot of changes we need to do, and I need to do a lot of things. So I take it like my mission in life to do it. So I worked in this NGO for more than 5 years, and alhamdulillah, we started the first women incubator in Saudi Arabia without any regulation. So that's why Munsha'at in that time that they attracted me, because they said that you open an incubator without regulation. So to come and help us in changing the law. From that, I started leading the entrepreneurship department and social entrepreneurship department. And I look to the change we need to support other women differently. I see the change happening to women life, not only from economic perspective, even from social. I see how women, when she have the confidence in her, if she has, for example, her own business, or she has her own work, she can make different decision. Nothing will hold her. she become more confident about herself. She is contributing in one of the things that she loves. So from that platform, alhamdulillah, I'm privileged to meet with a lot of women and trying to help those women, but they help me honestly to become more mature about what they need to support them. In Munshaat, I met also a lot of women, and in that time, I met a lot of women who really want to make change in different sector. For example, for Prince Noura, who opened the Al Mashtal, and she is maybe with us today. She started the first creative hub in Saudi Arabia, also without regulation in that time. And she wanted to open it in a very, in Safarat area, where this place need a lot of approvals, and this will waste her time in operation, but she committed to do this. I met other women who opened the first impact hub her, and also she is committed to do, whereas she faced a lot of challenges in health sector, education, etc., and technology, and daycare also. We change a lot of regulation because of the woman itself. So I encourage women who find any opportunity to make the change, she step and she tried to fix these things, because we as a woman always love to fix things in our home, in our even relationship. We always take a breath and said, okay, how we fix things, how we make things work better, how we utilize our resources, even in our home. Usually women successful in this thing. I'm so glad that Wafa, when she mentioned about financial literacy, because it's one of the main challenge women usually facing, whether in workforce or even in opening her own business. By having such initiatives and commitment will create impact. By having like Munshaat entity who believe in the role of women, and they have a special department and they have a special program to support women to start or scale their own business, or to include women within existing program. This shows how they are committed to support, and they believe, not because women is women, she's a woman and we want to support women, because women adding a lot of values in our economy. And this is what our vision stated clearly, because we are one of the main component, and we want to utilize our talented women to contribute in diversifying our economy.
Thank you so much, Afnan. You've touched on so many important factors. And actually, I do want to ask the ladies and build up on your answer. Previously, women were not handling their fate because they weren't financially independent. You have to be the master of your fate if you can be financially independent. Previously, that maybe was a hurdle because they weren't allowed in many workforce places. There was some restrictions. Now the door is wide open. Now everyone has an opportunity. Tell me about those opportunities and how they can go forward in their entrepreneurship, and what help can they find even from all of you three ladies, and how they can really maybe learn from your lessons, previous lessons and challenges that you faced.
Starting anything is not easy when you start anything new for the first time, right? So that's why it's called a startup, right? You know that the possibilities of failure are quite high. So I would like to generalize that beginnings are difficult for both men and women. Probably women have these extra challenges due to the many responsibilities. But I have to say, I started a company back in 2009 and 10 in Dubai, and I knew nothing. And the only reason I got excited, if you asked me 2 years before that, I would have never thought I would be in that position. But the reason is I was doing a master's degree, and that's a whole other long story of how I ended up doing something in business and strategic marketing. But being in that space, right? It just, all I feel, I was for exactly 1.5 years just inspired every day. Like I was researching, spending hours. I was like, as if I unlocked something. I was like, where were you numbers my whole life? And how to use finance, and how to actually create solutions. Where was marketing and understanding, creating products for needs and problems that exist in the market? And how does that work? And then suddenly you have all these, balls that are lighting up in your head. So I think when somebody comes to me is like, I have an idea. What do I need to do? I said, how do we start? Right? It's not about over planning. It's not about long business plan. It's not about hiring consultants. It's not about any of these stuff. It's about understanding who are you serving? What is your customer segment? What is the problem you're solving? What is the size of that market? Is there anyone who needs it today? What are they using instead today? There's always a substitute. There's no product today that is purely innovative, that has no competition, no matter how new it is. And once you understand the laws and the rules and the basic principles, all big companies that you see today were actually built on the same thing. You will be surprised. Every business started with the same little questions, that actually turned out to be so big. And talk to anyone in business and ask them how was the beginnings. So I think understanding the biggest rules and making the beginnings so small, and that's why we're big advocates for startups. Starting small experiments is your best way to gain the confidence, right? Small experiments don't cost a lot of money, and we call them experiments. They're pilots because pilots are meant to be succeeding. So we call them experiments because it's so little. It could start with few customers. I will give you a quick example about, two co-founders that we just, committed to, a lady, and a gentleman that come from the financial sector. The lady is in product, and basically they wanted to create a platform that serves investors for real estate to understand where they're putting their money in, right? It's an AI-powered platform that will allow you to have dynamic pricing, right? How long would that take to build? And I'm asking you, how long do I need to build that platform? If I want to start the business, I just gave you a business idea. They got it. They have technical backgrounds. I want them to start as soon as possible. 2 years, 2 weeks, like different variables, right? So, and we will vary. We can go with this debate, right? Sorry. I see, that's even a good answer. So basically what they did, they could have a choice of going the route into building the technology and waiting until it's ready. The difference, what they did, they went and they developed, and they said the investor wants the number and the assessments. Cool. They went and they developed their Excel sheets. And they actually started selling Excel sheets for whatever that was there. And they made money for over a year that enabled them to start the business later on. Now, would you call that a tech startup? You may not call it a tech startup at the beginning, but if you understand technology, you know that building the tech will not be difficult. It's about finding the customers. It's about understanding the potential. It's about those hustlers that made it and made the money before even having the technology, and they raised funds on no tech. And now they have tech investors, right? So I think maybe the short answer is basically, how do I start as soon as possible? And that's what we call lean technologies and the startup, there's a lot of narrative around that. And the second thing we always say, if the founder did not put their own early money at the very beginning, how do you trust that you're going to put your money if they don't want to put $1 in that company? So your first investments, no matter how little or tiny it is, it's a good actually sign. And that's what we call bootstrapping. It's good to start with that. Friends and family, those whom we call the angels, the people around you who will trust you at the very beginning. So that's your first seeds. And that will be a whole other full day workshop, my dear, to talk about the first steps of starting. But I would say starting is actually the first rule. And maybe the entrepreneur is the best to comment also on that.
Thank you so much, Amal, for those enlightening words. And I actually do want to move over to Wafa. You have 12 years experience on this landscape, and your background is very impressive. But let me ask you, when it comes to women looking to scale their businesses, what models and approaches have you found to be successful?
Yeah, I was just gonna, in the continuation to what everybody was saying, which is like what works for female founders or what I've seen work or what's missing. Let's do what's missing. So much easier. I think women are usually missing community. So access to peers who are going through the same experiences so they can learn as a collective. So I learned how to build a technology company because I saw my colleague do it. And in 2 years, he built a more valuable company than me in 10 years. That was for my older best. So I had a traditional company, and in 10 years, I reached $1 million in revenue. He did it in 2, but he had less equity. So I was like, wait a minute, how did he build a more valuable company in such a short amount of time and serve a global audience and solve a problem that transcends borders? I got really jealous. I was like, I need to also find that for us, and I feel like we can build something more impactful. And I think I wouldn't have been, if I'm not exposed to more female founders or founders that are able to scale and that share their hacks, then I'm just sitting in my bubble. Two is access to networks. So I'm such a big believer that you need to invest money to join specific networks. I think everybody gets invited to a lot of experiences. So when the time comes to maybe invest to join an organization or a community of like-minded individuals, we kind of maybe hold back or scale back. But I think investing in mentorship and coaching is really important. I have 7 different coaches and mentors. I have a money coach, I have a business coach, I have a coach to work on just like abundance mentality, because I feel like everybody has money trauma. So how do you also overcome that? But everything from health and partnerships as well. So I think that, so again, like maybe this is a bit of a shameless plug, but we've designed Playbook in a way to have 185 coaches and experts. So whether you need a postpartum therapist, which I never got when after I had a child and I had to go back to work and I just needed to talk to somebody, where do I go to just book that call and pay for that 1 hour? Whether you need someone to help you get boardroom ready, or someone to help you just do a due diligence on a startup if you like one, or looking for a divorce lawyer, just kidding. But ideally, like there's a bunch of different tools on there. And actually someone who was about to get married booked a session with a lawyer to go over her legal agreement, because she's like, I just want advice on what I should put. So she puts حق العمل, حق السفر, like things that I didn't put in my own agreement. But the idea is, what resources and tools are available, let's use them and hack them. I think women need more co-founders, and we need more mixers to introduce them to each other. That's like such a big pain point, to find each other at the right time. I think a lot of maybe young mothers or mothers need to find maybe 2 or 3 more co-founders to scale. So I think spaces where you can find partnership is really important. And what nobody talks about, I think, is the soft skills that women need to scale. So when you grow up with a curfew and your parents are just, constantly telling you like, be careful and, cover your legs and cover your arms and don't hang out with this person. And if you're going to go to the mall, like, be careful, be careful. You grow up just terrified of making a mistake, and you're a perfectionist because you don't want to disappoint your family and you don't want to disappoint your friends and you don't want to make mistakes and you don't want to pivot careers. And then when you start a company, how are you supposed to take risks, be bold, pivot, make mistakes, change your mind? So it's so challenging as well to work on the soft skills, which I think most entities don't offer. So again, if you look at what we offer on our platform, every masterclass talks about the soft skills that you need to be bold in business and be bold in the real world, or even when you scale. But even how to pitch, how to cold call, how to, Emel mentioned, deal with rejection. Like a lot of women don't ask for help because they don't want to be rejected, or ask for money, God forbid, and get rejected, right? So they'll quit. They'll be like, why am I like the system is designed for you to just really fail, because 2% of VC funding goes to them, and it's a bunch of men investing in a bunch of other men. So then if I get rejected 100 times a month, I'm like, I'll just get a job. This is like pain. I was gonna say hell on earth, but it's really painful, right? So I think the idea is to find access to that community. For sure. And I think Women's Spark is that. I think Playbook offers you that. And within our sector, like again, in our experience, what we're trying to do is build like clusters. So you have the female founder network, but you also have a chief network. And what's amazing is chiefs also need a very high level executive coaching, and they need to find their peers. So we've put them in a collective to create a program for them and also make sure that they support each other. So it's a very closed group, and it's protected and it's a safe space. But then they're like, we create the space basically for them to hack their lives. Yes, go for it.
In actually 2017, I worked with Babson College as we were doing the collaboration with Prince Mohammed bin Salman in King Abdullah Economic City. And when I went there, we were looking at the courses, and I got introduced to something called the WhenLab program. And WhenLab is a female accelerator in the heart of Boston, in Wellesley. And the whole idea was actually to bring female entrepreneurs. And I told them, the last thing I expected to see is a female-only accelerator in the US, right? And why are you putting women only in a program? And it was so much of an eye-opening, because everything I was advocating for is inclusion, inclusion, inclusion early on. Why are you segregating, right? And then I go there and it's like, They need their own accelerator. And when we got in depth and I read the research and all of these stuff, so basically what they're saying that most women would need that safe space in order to talk freely and to express and to connect on a deeper level. And there are so many things that will not be able to share with their male colleagues, for example, and what they go through, the emotional, the hormonal, the whatever, and the list will go on, which actually may impact how your day go or how are you going to perform, in your work and other places. But when you have that safe network where you can have the people that will train you to pitch, to present, it's a safe space. You do all your mistakes, among this group, and you will have male mentors. So it's not like males are not allowed, but the whole idea is just to have a lot of women that are starting businesses. And then they get them into the events. And it was such an eye-opening for me. I was like, this is interesting. Like, as much as we say role modeling and bringing people together and telling the story and commenting and mentorship and bringing women together, but I think, having that sustainable path is what we always ask, for. So even today, it's been 25 years I'm working, there are doubts that I have from time to time. I threw myself. That's, I don't know what to call it, but I'm a person who does not really take no for an answer. And I would go all the way until I get the solution. But it took so many years of like, first of all, feeling the fear. Second thing, going back and crying at home. Third thing is just standing and saying, I'm not going to cry today and I'm going to go for it. And the next day, you know what? I'm putting makeup with it. My face is like puffy or whatever, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm in pain. My back hurts, but I'm going to go and wear my heels and do this and that and all of these stuff. But at the end of the day, it's going to take you years until that imposter goes away and until that sound becomes really so little that you actually you're realizing it. Your mindset is so awake and so conscious that I know what's happening in my mind. So you start as put it aside, this is not real. I've done it before. Let's go for the next one. And I think having the skill and the network absolutely goes a long way. But thank you for sharing that. And thank you for asking that question because it's quite interesting, actually. You're reflecting a lot, and we're reflecting today.
So many amazing things to say that I feel like I don't want to cut you off in the middle of what you guys are saying. So I'm just trying to do it at the end. But I do feel there's a missing piece of the puzzle that we haven't mentioned yet. And I know this session is called the State of Female Entrepreneurship in Saudi Arabia. And it takes strong women to empower women. But when you look at it, it also takes very strong men to empower women. Because each and every single one of us, I'm sure, has a role model, has a male figure in her life who really helped her accelerate in where she is today and really impacted her. So when you look at this, it's really like an all-inclusive kind of thing. It's not about we separate women and men from each other and each has their own role, but also all of us coming together to really showcase the best that we can bring. I always say that it's not a KPI.
Exactly.
Having women in the office,
Yeah.
it's not ticking off boxes.
Yeah.
It's about really putting in the best talented, most qualified person in that job area.
Exactly.
Your years and Munshaat really did prove a lot. And I want to hear about those years and how they accelerated and what are the moments that you're most proud of today?
The most proud.
The moments that you're most proud of during your years in Munshaat. What are some stories you can tell us? The ones that really left a mark?
Okay. So I will go back to the years and then I will, what I want to share that a lot of stories that we witness, especially when women are successful and make the change. But maybe the time when they agree that I can do the women monitor, honestly, the dashboard, so I can see what's the progress in women entrepreneurship in Saudi Arabia. Imagine when I take this responsibility, I struggle how I will measure my impact to support Saudi women in Saudi Arabia. Do I measure women contribution in the workforce? This is not right. I need to have the right information to measure my base. First, I need to know my baseline. Second, I need to know what kind of businesses today women are leading. Third, what kind of challenges women are facing. By not having such a monitor, that will help even the researcher in universities or even the entities who want to advocate for women empowerment. They don't have the data. So when, alhamdulillah, we have this women dashboard within the internal dashboard we have it for SME of Saudi Arabia. This make me so happy and relaxed. So I can collaborate. For example, when I worked with Aman, when Amal worked in Babson University, because Amal believer of what I'm doing, she support me to do the first report for women, the gender report for Global Entrepreneurship Monitor in Saudi Arabia for Saudi women. Imagine that we have the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor for both gender, and it's okay, and it's ongoing, wow, and we have the great number. But we want to see what kind of challenges women entrepreneurs in Saudi Arabia are facing, and also reflecting about what we have in Saudi Arabia, which is great, and we are witnessing, but we are who are witnessing these changes and positive changes, not reflected globally. And this is not about reflecting our success internally in Saudi Arabia only. We want to reflect what we have about the kind of opportunities, the kind of welcoming for other talented women to come to Saudi Arabia, whether as an expert or as a business owner or as an investor or even as an enabler to work with us, enabling other women. Such this initiative today, we have it. So we need to welcome other women to be part of this change, and we have a lot of a group of women who will support such initiatives. So this is the moment. First, this is one tech that I need to do it, and I faced a lot of challenges. It's closed 5 times, alhamdulillah, and I reopened it. And alhamdulillah, now it's under the Ministry of Finance. So the Ministry of Financial, they have a new approach to ask every government entity, what are you doing to support women empowerment in Saudi Arabia? What kind of a program? So now every government entity need to report how much they allocate of budget to support other women. So during also my working in Munshaat, I have a commitment with other committees to empower women in different sectors, not only in when we are talking about sectors or even in health sector, etc. So there is a special committee. It's under the family committee. It's called Women Empowerment Committee under the family committee, and they have a national strategy for women. So alhamdulillah, we have, inshallah, we will announce the special KPIs for different government entities to increase women participation based on the need today in our market. And lastly, I worked on I become the ambassador for the Ministry of Trade for Women. That's why I was the advocacy for women for many of my lives when I'm in Munshaat and the Ministry of Trade. So this is what can I share.
Thank you so much, Afnan. Thank you so much, Amal. Thank you so much, Wafa. We're going to open the floor to our guests here that are listening in for any questions they might have. Because I have plenty, so if no one wants to ask, I'm ready.
Thank you so much, ladies. This was very, very inspiring, not just for me. I think I speak for everyone when I say you left us in awe, really. Thank you. So my question is, I feel like today, it's 2024, I think there's this generation that is scary to most of us that is called the Gen Z, right? We don't know how to approach that. We don't know how to unpack that in a way or another. So I'm just very curious to see how do you guys see Gen Zs in this conversation of entrepreneurship. They are the aspiring entrepreneurs in Saudi and in the region, right? And it's very important to note that they are growing up not facing the same challenges you ladies are coming from, right? Or this whole generation that is probably here today. They're not facing the same challenges. They are growing up to a very open ecosystem, a very, I wouldn't say the most accessible, but a very accessible to a big extent. So how do we talk to them? What is their language from your point of view? That would be my question. Thank you, ladies.
I think the quick thing, most of the entrepreneurs are in this age group, right? And What I would say, at the end of the day, we're more inspired even as people in the ecosystem by them and by initiating and taking the risks that early in their life, right? And wanting to really build a path. And you will see a stronger drive, to believing in what they do more than anything you've seen in your whole life, when they talk about their projects. So we want that. We want people that are fighters, that are believers, because you want this drive to remain, as the startup journey is very long and it can get super lonely from day one, right? And there will be, no matter how the people around you, your supporters and everybody, somebody will question one day, why are you doing what you're doing? Since there is a job that will pay you well in the equivalent, right? And the marketplace and the workplace in Saudi is very attractive, both private and government, right? So for someone to choose that, for us, this is a very good signal. How do we deal? We listen more than we talk. We're no longer advising and directing. We don't know more than them, by the way. We know about this field. We know what has happened. We know experiences, but I'm a big believer in primary data, not secondary old historical data. So I think the key is to listen, to know what are the know-how in the VC world. So I'm going to just tackle it from that. We know how the rounds of funding happens, right? We know the understanding of the VCs, and that's the knowledge we share. We share the frameworks of how, a SaaS model would work and how others succeeded in that. But I don't tame the ideas. You don't tame how they think. And I think the listening part and understanding that they are a different generation, that they are born with access to info and data. My daughter is the biggest example. She's 24, and I do believe that she knows more than me in a lot of spaces and a lot of areas. I said, I do enjoy that conversation, actually, and it's quite challenging, right? So I think respecting the mind, listening and knowing that it's more like a conversation rather than guiding. 3, they will do right, they will do wrong, and you just need to know how this is going to be approached at the end of the day. And this is a bit of upbringing and education, and also dealing with your investments at the same time. And I think maybe one last point to mention is, I do have people that I call myself, and they call them mentors, and they're probably half my age, because they know better in certain things that it's too late for me to know, honestly. Like, I can't reset my mind, to that extent. And I say, when we sit together for coffee, by the way, my weekend is with 2 amazing ladies, aspiring, beautiful, amazing minds, they are in their late 20s. And the conversations I just leave with courage. I leave with a lot of courage and with a lot of hope. And I was like talking to an entrepreneur today. They have done great milestones. And he said, I said, why did this investor actually, how did they find you? Or, why did they like your essay? Why don't you ask, how did they find us? Why are you asking me how we found them? And I was like, can I borrow some of your confidence? So at the end of the day, I think we need to understand and respect all of the emotional aspects and the talent, but I think we are in a different time. We need to educate and change our mindset. We always say, my word that I repeat, we need to learn to unlearn. And if we become those people that know when to unlearn the old stuff that we don't need and we keep learning, then we change, I guess. But yeah, there's no guidance anymore. It's a different world.
Wafa, Fnan, would you like to add anything to that?
80% of my team are Gen Zers. It's very challenging. And I think I learned 2 things in my experience working with them in a technology company. They really value their freedom and flexibility. So once that clicked and that locked in, we have work from home Thursdays, and we have flexibility. They can come whenever they want, as long as they do their 8 hours, and leave whenever they want. So some of them want to work out in the morning and go to their F45 or their berries, and then they'll come at 11, but they'll stay till 8. So as long as they get what they need from their job and the role, they're happy. So it's very different than millennials, which is my generation, and what motivates us. And they really value being fractional employees. So they don't want to be full-time. They want to be 3 days a week or 4 days a week. And maybe they don't want to do Thursday, but they want to do Saturday. So like, it's also thinking of, okay, do I need a marketing manager 5 days a week, or can I get a fractional marketing? So they also want to do their side hustle 2 days a week. It can get challenging for sure. Obviously, then you have like an HR team that can manage that. But I think, again, once things click, even how you do your interviews with Gen Zers, you're trying to find what their motivation is, and then you're trying to understand, does that fit in with my culture? So that's what supports it and helped me.
For me, honestly, I'm focusing on their strength. What Amal and Wafa mentioned, I'm train myself of how to deal with them, even with my sister, my youngest sister, because all of them, يعني it's very important to understand what their need and how you work with them to accelerate, for example, the project you are working with them, or even with your relationship, even if we are talking about your sister, your brother, etc. So you need to understand what their need and try to have a common language with them. And as Wafa mentioned, that they appreciate freedom and that they have their own space. So in my team, I usually ask them what kind of support you want from me. Also, even if I'm working in government entity, alhamdulillah, they give us this privilege that we can support our team on the way we want. So we have such discussion and clearly dialogue with them about their goals, what kind of communication we need to deal with each other if we faced any challenges, about the priorities. From that, we can scale. And when we are talking about businesses, which is completely different than talking about the employee, it's very important to help them to show the effect of not being committed in time in their businesses and how they will lose a lot of opportunities in their way. So you need to show them.
Afnan ذكرتيني في شيء. Afnan reminded me of something, which is the Gen Zers, the aliens. They are not obsessed with their careers and their jobs, I feel like other generations. So especially now with this nomadic way of working, you can work from anywhere. You can work from Bali on a laptop and you can submit your artworks or your copy or your business plans. So all of a sudden it's like, I don't need, if it doesn't fit me, I can move somewhere else or I can pivot or
They always say this, yeah.
they have a lot of power, but Afnan, you made me laugh. She's like, I asked them, what kind of support do you need from us?
Generation of very committed, stay a long time in achieving what do you want, take step by step. They
What
want
I do
everything
is
executive from their first, mashallah, first 3 months. This shocked me.
بس أفنان أنا أقول لهم إن may I when we have performance appraisals with Gen Zers, I say, may I give you feedback? Like because it doesn't work. My generation, and then I'm not that old, but my ex-bosses used to be like, you need to fix this, and I want to tell you what to do. And I used to be like, and I grew up watching my parents have such big work ethic. Your career is very, you do what your boss tells you to do. You don't question. This generation has so much power that I'm like, may I share my feedback? And then when they say, sure, Wafa, you can, then I'm like, because now they're open to it. So it's like, I recognize you have power and you can just leave and you don't mind moving to another job. You know what I mean? That's also the way you even communicate has to be different, because they're different now. They have different opportunities and options, and they can work from home and just be super comfortable the whole week without having to deal with, clocking in and clocking out.
That's not just a Generation Z, but let's open.
Well, we can't all get what we want, can we?
No, it's for millennials. But let's open the floor for one more question before the session ends.
So just real quickly, Greg Johnson from NYU. First of all, I just want to compliment you, a comment on the transparency tonight. Your candor on this forum is very, very refreshing. Just like at Babson at NYU, there's a women's cohort for entrepreneurs, but the successful leaders that were on this panel recently at NYU, they did not have the same level of candor. So I really do appreciate that. And I guess the question that I have is, now that you've been on the journey for a little bit of time, I do teach emerging tech disruption. How are you thinking about tech differently today? How are you involving that in either the folks that you're mentoring or in your actual businesses? Maybe you could speak a little bit to that. Thank you.
I do believe that tech is inevitable today. I think one of my challenges is I just feel like we're constantly behind in terms of innovation. Like by the time I think of something innovative, it's like I'm 3 years too late. Like it's already happened in the US and it's just like we're late to the party, right? So I think for me, my challenge, not just with myself, because I can't build everything as a solo entrepreneur, but how do we become so innovative in our problem solving and in our thinking? And how can we imagine things? So we're not just recreating and replicating what exists and works, which is a proven model, right? You can say, listen, I'm building masterclass or I'm building chief in the US. It worked. I'm replicating it here, but I'm doing it for my culture. That's like fine, that's a winner, but then you're always just a couple of years behind, right? And if it doesn't work out for them, that's also a signal for you that you're unable to scale. So I think the big question is how do we become more innovative? How do we become more bold? And even now when we do our monthly offsite, so we have a budget to do something exciting for the team on a monthly basis because they work a lot. So like, what can we do for fun? We're trying to be bold in our experiences because I'm trying to think, okay, maybe if we do exciting experiences once a month where they are, pushed really out of their comfort zone, they can bring that to work and they can bring that problem solving energy to work. So like it also can happen outside of the office. So that's the pondering challenge in my brain.
I can add one thing that, for example, from our perspective in our ministry, as I'm leading the innovation and entrepreneurship sector, what we are doing when we are talking about technology and the kind of change we want in our businesses today, or even our attraction for talent, startup from all over the world, we deal with every startup as the one who will change and fix any the sector, the traditional sector today we have it, or elevate some of the technologies today we have it in our country. So today, what we are doing to support innovative startup from all over the world, that we have a special track for pioneering startup that focusing on emerging technologies, helping in building the main platforms that will enable semiconductor startup, or even giving them incentives to set their businesses in Saudi Arabia, or to transfer technology, collaborate with local startup, or even with RIDIA, which is the research and innovation, the Authority of Research and Development entity here in Saudi Arabia. We are working with them and focusing on such technologies and in different incentives, how we will enable existing even startup in our kingdom or even in our attraction.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is, so as a venture capitalist, I'm very biased to tech, and that's also a danger. Sometimes we have to realize that not everyone thinks the same way, and not everyone is as exposed as us. And that's a constant reminder that there is a need also for humans, and there is a need of understanding the market. And I think that is the biggest challenge, that technology would not do everything for us, right? And understanding customers will require a person to go down to the market. Besides, SAOs are like, understanding how to collect and scrape data online. But as generation change, they're more alive online than offline, right? So I think understanding whom are we targeting is the most important thing. How do we use that? We're all for tech, obviously, today. The question is what type of tech, and not to over complex. The simplicity in the offering is actually valued today. The more you understand what does the technology do, let's not overdo it. Sometimes less is more. Most of the time is actually less is more in technology, right? And about how do I really scale it? It helps us. Tech can be used for good. Tech can be used for scale. Tech can be used to expedite. Today, Saudi Arabia, Abshir, Najas, and we can go on, the whole ministries is actually online. Who would have believed that? I get things, done online. My passport, I remember the first time I've done it, 3 days, it was in my home. And it was, actually, this is a game changer. So we have to understand the technology scheme, the government scheme, because the attraction that's happening globally for companies with technology that are coming here, what the government has done, have expedited and have created what other countries did not have. So the plugin now becomes so much easier. Access to data, KYC, all of these stuff are so much easier. So I think mapping the technology seen globally, what's happening in Saudi. The second thing, understanding what tech has not been penetrated, so let's not repeat. How do we really use different utilization of technologies today? Who has built it? already, who will build it today? And developing local talents is what we want more of. If you ask me today about the biggest mission, is about how do we have more developers, more coders, more localized technologists that are available actually on ground. That is one of the biggest asks of technology companies. Because once you find a technical talent today, their salaries are over the top because they're not a lot. Right? And imagine if you have someone who's local, knows the market. The best tech is who understands the market, have the insights, and can develop the technology accordingly. That is actually the key, right? If I have those two insights, then you're probably creating graduates. If you're doing that in NYU, that is something I would love to speak about because we're talking to local universities as well. But let's take that forward later.
That's a lot. Thank you so much
sorry.
for all
This is
that. I
just-
feel like I
this is
want to
when
be
you
an
tap-
entrepreneur.
When you tap on
A
something,
wealth
that
of
is magic.
knowledge, a wealth of knowledge. And I can't thank you ladies enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who came here in person. And thank you to both the American Chambers and also the Atlantic Council for this amazing session.
So it was already on and I made it. Okay. Thank you ladies so much. I am delighted to be working at the Atlantic Council, but listening to you all speak has me ready to run through a wall so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who showed up. I know that it was a bit of a challenge getting here for many of you, and we so appreciate your presence. We started the evening celebrating the fact that we are launching our third incredible cohort of WIN Fellows in Saudi. And if you'll permit me, I would like to end on the same note. We are privileged to have many of our fellows in the room with us tonight. If you are a current WIN Fellow for this new upcoming cohort, please come on up to the stage. There will be lots of networking time. Similarly, I know that we are also privileged to have a few of our alumni in the room. If you are I'm sorry to spring this on you, but if you are an alumni of the WEN Fellowship, please also join us on the stage. Ladies, if you wouldn't mind kind of lining up, we're just going to do very quickly. I'm going to hand the microphone down the line, and we would like to know your name and what your business is. Who would like to start?
Hi, my name is Masarra Filata. I'm a founder of Reform. Reform, it's a data collections companies. We connect researcher with the right participants.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Iman Al-Haji. I'm the founder of Saudi Youth for Sustainability, which is a national NGO to empower effective solutions by young Saudi leaders. I'm also starting a new deep tech company, but we'll relieve it later in 2 months. Stay tuned.
My name is Noor Sadun, and I'm humbled to be here. I cannot even express how amazing the room is, filled with amazing women here, and I feel like there's nothing that I can do or say can actually say thank you for opening the doors for others, especially that you guys have been struggling in the beginning, and then now we're following your lead. Again, my name is Noor Sadoun. I'm the Director of Health Innovation and Biotech Center at Al Faisal University. I am a part of this program because I'm really interested to learn more into how to create a platform that enhances strategy and innovation here in Saudi Arabia to help the transformation to become sustainable among the Saudi nationals. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Reem Turki. I'm the second cohort Women Fellowship. I work in my startup for people with disability using the technology, mainly machine learning to translate the Arabic Sign Language to Arabic language and vice versa.
I'm Hiba Kurdi. I'm innovator in, I have already like 10 patents in the field in which I started my startup. I'm working in AI innovation-based logistics projects. I'm also affiliated to MIT Aerospace and Engineering College.
Standing next to her was a mistake. Okay, my name is Nof Masoud. I am the founder and CEO of LMD, La Maison de Biaza, which is hospitality and culinary powerhouse. We curate immersive hospitality experiences based on the philosophy of gastro diplomacy, where basically we utilize hospitality as a mean of soft power. Yeah, thank you
so much. My name is Arid Bamajbour, founder of Devotion Design Studio, which is an interior design studio that focuses on designing for humans instead of just designing beautiful spaces. And also founder of Thrills Shop, which creates new experiences for everyday life that we aim to reduce or maybe spend less time online and more time offline and working with our hands.
Hello, hi, my name is Noor Al-Khashi. I'm the founder and creative director of Dari Home. It's an online retailer for homeware and home goods.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leila Abu Hajar, and I am founder and a CEO of Your House. Your House actually has a background of technology and so passionate about it. So it is about utilizing the virtual reality technology in multiple sectors. And we start with the real estate sectors because here in Saudi Arabia, we know that the line is coming, the Yom and all of these stuff. It is in the future. But how about if we enable the people to live inside them and get the experience and all of these stuffs by using virtual reality technology? It is not virtual reality. We are using also, we are experts in AI and other stuff. So alhamdulillah, that's it. We are here today. Also, I am a PhD student at King Fahd University. I just started this semester, but it's thank you so much for.
Thank you so much, everyone. One final note, we will have some networking out in the hall. Don't move, we're going to take a picture. There's some networking outside. Sorry to those on Zoom that you'll miss it. But I do want to just note that we're building a big tent with the Win Fellowship program, and we would love the involvement of each and every one of you in this room. There is room for everyone here to contribute positively to this mission. So please reach out to me, reach out to my colleague, Nabras, who is making everything run smoothly. Oh, there we go. Our colleagues at AmCham, reach out. There's room to be involved. We really look forward to it. So thank you. We'd like to get pictures.